So it turns out that the media has finally turned on Biden because at some point you've got to accept that the ship is practically underwater, and so what's the point in trying to continue bailing water out of the deck? Finally is basically the name of the game here. But before we go on, if you want to support us, you can go over to lotuseaters.com, sign up for a $5 a month, and check out some of the premium content, such as John Wheatley's view on aesthetics here, which is Modernity, the End of Architecture. Now, this is a really important series, I think, because as soon as you start noticing what the architecture around us is like, you realise how much we have in fact lost because of the Labour Party in the 20th century. But I'll leave that as a surprise when you want to go through it. Anyway, so it's no surprise that the media is openly biased, but actually Pew have done a bit of research into this and surveyed a bunch of journalists, and it turns out that loads of them are really intentionally biased, and they don't even see that that's a problem. They say journalists in the United States differ markedly from the general public in their views of both sidism, whether journalists should always strive to give equal coverage to all sides of an issue, according to this survey. A little more than half the journalists surveyed said that every side does not always deserve equal coverage in the news. Now, this isn't exactly breaking news for anyone who watches this channel. You're well aware that the media is massively biased, but it is nice to see that only 22% of Americans overall said the same thing, whereas about 3/4 said that journalists should always strive to give equal coverage to all sides. And that makes sense, obviously, because if you just want to be informed on an issue, then you're going to want to know both sides of the issue. If you've got an agenda, if you're part of some sort of, I don't know, great reset or something, then maybe you would actually want to not have the other side covered, so people don't get to know what exactly is going on. And this has become vastly obvious when it comes to the case of Joe Biden. You know, the man, the myth, the legend, the magnet of charisma that everyone wanted to vote for. And it just becomes obvious where you get, like, you know, foreign journalists like Robin Aiken here going, well, look, like, TV's pro-Biden bias is embarrassing, and it's making us look like party apparatchiks. I mean, this is like North Korean levels of media bias in favour of the dear leader. And honestly, it's just so bad that I think you can see it most and best in this clip of Van Jones on election night when Joe Biden was elected. Let's watch this. I haven't got any sound, apparently. John?
Well, it's easier to be a parent this morning. It's easier to be a dad. It's easier to tell your kids character matters. It matters. Telling the truth matters. Being a good person matters. And it's easier for a whole lot of people. If you're Muslim in this country, you don't have to worry if the president doesn't want you here. If you're an immigrant, you don't have to worry if the president's going to be happy to have babies snatched away or send dreamers back for no reason. This is vindication for a lot of people who have really suffered. You know, the I can't breathe. You know, that wasn't just George Floyd. That was a lot of people that felt that they couldn't breathe. Every day you're waking up and you're getting these tweets and you just don't know, and you're going to the store and people who have been afraid to show their racism are getting nastier and nastier to you, and you're worried about your kids and you're worried about your sister. And can she just go to Walmart and get back into her car without somebody saying something to her?
We can stop it there, because I think that's made the point. But you can actually see there is genuine tears on the side of his cheek there.
The only part he misses, and the worst thing is, I never learned to read. That's what it reminded me of.
But like that I think was actually real, and the fact that he actually cried when Joe Biden was elected and couldn't even speak properly.
Literal liberal tears.
Ben
Shapiro was under the desk with a little cup gathering them up.
I mean, literally. But you can see exactly the complete lack and, like, you know, mask off moments of, look, we're partisan here. This is cheerleading. There's no sort of journalistic objectivity or neutrality. This is entirely regime media, basically. And so this was what was pointed out at The Critic, which I think is a good site. If you can go to the next one. They just said, look, the BBC, I mean, why does the BBC have an investment here? Isn't that strange? Why were they so anti-Trump and pro-Biden? Well, it's all because this is part of an ideological position. They can't help themselves.
Can I just add, in terms of the UK coverage of Biden, I was shocked. the amount of so-called conservatives that were pro-Biden. Even Julia Hartley-Brewer, who's normally pretty good, was pro-Biden. I had to go about it on Twitter, and then she tried to say something back. He was the best one of the choices, and people then race-showed her because
Trump was.
Trump was, exactly. You can't even use that argument.
Yeah.
But even the great Douglas Murray has been a bit wet on Trump. It's like, just because, like, oh, he says bad things we don't like. You know, he says, like, rude things.
That's
like,
what's good
Biden's
about
the
him.
worst president of all time.
Yeah.
There's no competition.
Yeah. And the Trump, like, this, like, I don't even know how to describe it. This kind of attitude, this hoity-toity attitude that we have in Britain towards Trump, it really annoys me. Because, A, look at him. He's like the archetypal American.
Yeah.
Like, if you were going to, like, get an AI to design an American, just from what it's read about Americans in books, it'd look exactly like
you
Donald
mean
Trump.
this.
Yeah, exactly. It'd look exactly like Donald Trump.
And that's so fun, isn't it? Like you say.
Exactly. That's so, it's good, it's wholesome, it's healthy.
It's wonderful.
You know.
It's an 80s America. It's it's
Exactly.
everything we love about it. I know
Yeah.
they're just losing so much. These people, people like in North London who I know, they've got long Trump derangements.
Yeah.
They still say things
Yeah.
like, "He's going to die in jail." He's not even president. Do you want to calm down about
And he's
this?
not in jail.
And it's not going to help your life in any way. But he dies in jail. They're
Yeah.
idiots.
And it's really going to come back and bite you when he wins next time.
Yes. But even Sam Harris, by the way,
Yeah.
when Biden got in, said,
Yeah.
yeah, he said the adults are back in the room, and then at least he apologized for that.
Yeah,
he
he
was like,
did, yeah.
"Sorry, guys,
Yeah.
they weren't back in the room. I'm eating humble pie."
Yeah, no, I actually really like Sam Harris because he will do things like that. You know, he can have his opinion, but when he was wrong about it, he'll just come and say, "Okay, fair enough." You know, I'll cop to it. But the thing is, then you get like articles like this, and again, this is from 2020, back when Biden was elected. Again, it feels like a lifetime, but it was only 2 years ago. We need to be more honest in our reporting about Biden. Isn't that interesting? How like this article is basically this woman devoted to going, look, we've been lying about this. We've been lying about Biden. We've been lying in favor of this because we don't like Trump, and it actually is not good. Like, she literally, you know, we might be doing everything we can to get rid of a dangerous president, but in doing so, we set a dangerous precedent.
But of course,
yeah.
this is totally disingenuous because they're trying to get rid of another president now, which is they've moved on from Biden.
Well, yeah, we'll get to that in a
Okay.
second. You know, you get like analysis articles from like the Heritage Foundation being like, well, look, they're just completely Team Biden. The media dug in and enforced an almost total news blackout of the Hunter Biden laptop story, which is true, and the latest revelations from Hunter Biden's phone, which were hacked by peoples unknown on the internet, and we get to learn again. I mean, I just really want to know who Pedo Peter was in those group conversations with Jill Biden and Hunter Biden.
We know who he was.
Yeah, I know.
Are we not allowed to say it?
I don't know.
We don't on YouTube. We don't know. Who he
Yeah,
was.
on YouTube we don't know, and he won 81 million votes. But the social media platforms are, of course, completely in favour of Biden as well, because, of course, when all this came out, it got completely censored. Blah blah. I'm not going to go over it in detail because we've covered it many times, but it's just so profoundly obvious that this is the case. And what's weird about it, though, is the press hardly gets any access to Biden. This is the Committee to Protect Journalists who wrote this article saying, look, one key concern among White House reporters is their limited access to Biden. He has given far fewer press conferences and media interviews than either Obama or Trump in their first years of office. He's responded to fewer impromptu questions from reporters at the White House. Normally, they have to go through Jen Psaki on the diversity hire who's replaced her. To get this information. One ABC News correspondent said, we need more access to Biden himself. Press access to him so far is very limited. Press conferences are few and far between. His people don't seem to wall him off from the press. And you can see they've got a picture in here of them walking away from reporters without taking questions. This has happened multiple times, but it's just an image, just in the press conference where they're like, "Can I ask questions?" He's like, "No."
Yeah. But of course, he can't do impromptu. This is a man that needs a card telling him where to sit.
Exactly.
And that it's him that is sitting and not someone else.
Elon Musk is absolutely right. Whoever controls the teleprompter controls the United States.
Right.
Yes, and that's exactly the problem. You know, Biden is, what is he, 80? Something like that? I can't even remember how old he is now. He's in
70s.
He must nearly 80. He's obviously losing it. You know.
Oh, yeah, 79.
Yeah, there we go. You know, so he's going to be, 82 by the time of the next election, something like that. And so anyway, this means that the country isn't going very well.
How is Trump 76, though? I mean,
don't know. It's that.
give me the Trump diet, not the Biden diet.
Wait, Trump loves his burgers, man.
Yeah.
I bet Trump eats a lot more red meat than Joe Biden.
True. Biden's eating the bugs.
Yeah. But unironically, Trump has got a weird vitality about him.
He has.
It's so weird, which Biden does not have. Anyway, so Biden's approval is now down to historic lows. A week ago, it was 36% approval with 57 or something disapprove. Now, after the media's been like, oh, well, we'll try and help. 39% approval. No, that's not good enough. Because the thing is, and this is really the crux of the problem that Joe Biden has, he's obviously responsible for all of the problems. Now you can say, well, hang on a second. What about the apparatus of manipulative, organizations around him and the people closely connected to him in the White House who are clearly propping him up? And it's like, sure, but he's got to take responsibility as the president for appointing all of these people. I mean, you can say, well, he's a puppet for these people, maybe, but at the end of the day, he's the president. He's got to take responsibility for this. And it turns out that no one really wants him. Like, literally 82% of people like no.
Yeah.
Just no.
The scary thing is that you're going to end up with Gavin Newsom as the candidate. Just pure American psycho evil.
I'm kind of not even against that, though.
Really? Yeah, I want to see DeSantis versus Newsom.
Yeah.
Good versus evil.
Yeah, literally.
Just so pure.
Yeah. I don't think you'll get in the next one. But the one after, okay.
I think it'll probably be Trump versus Newsom at this point. What do you think? Because they're getting rid of Biden and they're getting rid of Harris. Harris is manning a radar tower in Alaska.
Biden has said he's going to stand.
Has he?
Yeah, he has said he's going to stand. It's like, look, you can't
Can he even physically stand?
Unassisted, yeah, exactly.
He's fallen down. He's fallen upstairs twice.
I know.
How do you even do that?
I don't know, but it's really bad. But anyway, so these are basically his lowest polling numbers to date, which was from this week. And more Democrats than not say now that he should pass in the second term. So 41% of Democrats, rather than the 35% saying he should go after another one. And 2/3 are just like, look, he should just retire. He should just bow out to 64%. And when asked who they would rather see as the Democratic nominee for president in 2024, only a quarter of Democrats, just over, say Biden. Fewer say Kamala Harris at 19%. It's like, how can you be less popular than Joe Biden? Most say either someone else or not sure, or they wouldn't vote, which is 54% of the Democrat voting base.
Someone else is doing well.
Yeah, none of the above.
Anyone else
storming ahead. And as various people have been pointing out, look, these are probably worse than they seem as well, because according to one poll, he had a 33% job approval rating, which meant that literally 66% of people were like, you suck, 67% were you suck, and this is, as far as we can tell, the lowest amount of voter satisfaction in modern history. I mean, possibly slightly worse for Abraham Lincoln during the Civil War, possibly, but even then, probably not.
Yeah, Carter, he was very unpopular, but this is the next level.
Yeah, but then the perfect response to this is just to merely ask Biden about, so what do you think of everyone in the country hating you, Joe? What's your opinion on that? Let's watch the clip.
Mr. President, what's your message to Democrats who don't want you to run again?
They want me to run.
2/3 say they
Read
don't.
the polls. Read the polls, Jack. You guys are all the same. That poll showed that 92% of Democrats, if I ran, would vote for me.
A majority of Democrats say they don't want you to run again in 2024.
92% said if I did, they'd vote for me.
Yeah, but even if that was true, which I'm not sure it is, but even if that were true, that doesn't change the fact that they're like, look, okay, I would have to vote for him because I'm not voting for Trump, but I really don't want you to run.
Yeah. When the tweet said, read the polls, Jack, I thought that was a joke.
No.
It's the kind of thing Biden says, then it's actually in the video.
Yeah, it's actually what he said. Fox News actually looked into this, and they were like, look, the statistic of 92% does appear in the poll, but it's not the question of whether he should or shouldn't run. It's a statistic which references that 92% of Democrats would still vote for him in a hypothetical rematch against Donald Trump, but of course that doesn't mean that they want him to run. That just means if given the Hobson's choice, they will. And so it's clear to everyone that Biden is the sinking ship that is going down and that there's no saving this. And so even CNN are becoming critical of Biden. This was criticism. What was the title of it? You can scroll down a little bit. I can't remember the title on this one now. But Biden's like, oh, he's wrong about his poll numbers. Yeah, he is. And then you get the New York Times turning on Biden, being like, well, he's too passive and full of excuses to be the president. It's like, really? Because he sounds like a raging old fool to me. But basically what they're saying is he's not exactly the culture warrior that they want. It doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it. And it seems that he's kind of gravely detached from reality. And much less engaged than many of his supporters had hoped for.
The left projections always come back to him. They were obsessed with Trump's not able cognitively to run. It's like, guys, hello? Anything?
Things were great under Trump.
I know.
Things
Amazing.
were so good.
Oh yeah, I sometimes see clips of old conversations and stuff, and back then I'm like, great times, simpler times, just Trump
man.
bossing it.
And not only that, but like not even just like the aesthetic of it, right? Trump in front of huge crowds, just chatting his mouth, about anything he likes. But just think about like the price of fuel, the price of food, this world stability. Like people like
no war in Russia.
Yeah, no
Putin in his box.
Putin not invading anyway. Peaceful in the Middle East. Things were genuinely great under Trump. All the media whining, and we just got to laugh at them whining.
Some people laugh when I say this, but Trump's unpredictability was a successful tactic against Russia because they have these plans 50 years in advance where war with the US is inevitable. They plan for assassination, they plan for hot war, they plan for every type of war, sanctions. But the one thing they can't plan for is Trump.
Yeah, what's he going to do?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Because he doesn't know.
Yeah.
He'll be like, oh yeah, bomb Syria today. I don't like that photo. That's literally how he plans things. This guy from ISIS, show him a photo of his house, see how he responds. Like he's the kind of guy who would show Putin a picture of his house, say, I'm going to bomb that. And that, you know what I mean? He said he was going to bomb Moscow. He's hinted at this. That's what he said. He's hinted.
And the great
and
thing
they believe him because he might do it.
But the great thing about it is that they can't be like, right, so we're going to strategize. What's Trump planning? Well, Trump doesn't have a plan.
Yeah.
Obviously he's not planning
the graph
everything.
Just goes crazy. Yeah,
exactly. He's just operating on gut instinct, and it wins. And man, I miss Trump's presidency.
Me too.
Now. Anyway, and the final sort of nail in the coffin, I think, is New York Times columnist Michelle Goldberg, who's like, look, he really is too old. He's worn out and unfocused. Yeah. By the time he finally achieved office, the office he longed for, he was far past his prime, said Goldberg, adding that many of the crises facing Biden were not his fault, but nevertheless, I hope he doesn't run again because he's too old. We are ruled by a gerontocracy. Biden is 79, Pelosi is 82, the House Majority Leader Steny Hoyer is 83, Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer is 71. Often, it's not clear if they grasp how broken the country is.
Yeah, they say he could have got it when he was younger. When he was younger, he seemed still a bit of a dick, but slick and had his cognitive function. He could talk. He could talk. That's what I'm saying. He could
complete a sentence. So yes, basically, it's good to see that finally the mainstream is recognizing that Biden is actually incompetent, terrible, and totally unsupportable.
If you appreciated that segment from the podcast of the Lotus Eaters, you can go to lotuseaters.com to get access to all the premium content we have on the site, such as the premium articles we do. This one from Hugo on Is China the New USSR? If you want to follow what else we're putting out, you can follow us at Getter at lotuseaters_com on Getter. Thank you and goodbye.